Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Around the World in 80 Stays. I'm here today with my guest Eddie Tepper. As always, I'm going to let him introduce himself, and where he studied.
Yeah, so Eddie Tepper. I studied abroad twice. First being the summer going into junior year. I studied abroad in Italy, Paderno del Grappa, through Chimba. And then my second time was my second semester junior year in Barcelona. That was through IES, and then I also did an internship in Barcelona.
All right. So I'm going to start with a question that I don't normally start with, but only because you said when your study abroads were. This is curious to me. So you went summer before junior year, then you came back, and then you did second semester junior year abroad. Why that? Because usually people who do study abroads will do them back to back if they're able to, because that's what I did. I went summer of between freshman and sophomore year, and then I went my first semester of sophomore year and came back. So talk about that, and then we'll kind of rewind.
Okay. Yeah. So originally, I was always planning on doing the Barcelona second semester junior year. That was always like a for sure thing for me. A lot of people in my family studied abroad. My brother studied abroad. So it's kind of been a tradition, or I knew I was going to see other people I knew out abroad. And then the first summer, the Italy experience, I was originally going to go to Israel for a few weeks, and then it fell through because of outside of other stuff. And then, yeah, I still wanted to go abroad. I still wanted to experience new things. So I was like, you know what, why not go to Italy?
And then you saw we had the program, took the chance, and then off you went.
Yeah.
I guess that makes more sense. I didn't really think about it in that way, that like you had always had that one just planned, because some people will plan them in ones. I planned mine in a pair specifically. But let me rewind on that, like I said, and just ask, bring us more into your impetus for studying abroad. You said, you had a lot of family who had done that, and your brother had done that, and you had wanted it. But like, what was driving you? What was the thoughts? And why did you have Barcelona picked out specifically, kind of long gaming it for junior year?
We talked about it before we started recording, but soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. I've grown up playing my whole life. Barcelona has, in my opinion, the greatest team. So I always wanted to go there. I went to Barcelona when I was younger for a few days, and I've always loved it since. It's always been like kind of a second home to me, and especially when I studied abroad there for a whole semester, like I really felt at home. But yeah, no, soccer was the main thing. I wanted to experience that. Yeah, and then, I mean, obviously, studying in Italy the first time, I realized how much more there is to it than just soccer. like obviously, but my simple mind, like that's all I was thinking at the time. So yeah, that was the reason I wanted to go to Barcelona.
Of all of the reasons we've talked about so far, I think that is probably the best one, because I try to get people on here with different diverse perspectives on how studying abroad has changed them, or like what brought them to it. And the fact, you just said soccer and that was about it. I respect the play 100%, and it's unique. You know what? And you're not faking it being like, oh, because I wanted to broaden the academic. It's like, I need to go see this. When I was studying abroad, I kept in mind soccer because, again, we were talking about this before recording. I'm also a big soccer fan, and I kept that in mind when I was going to my destinations. I was like, okay, where is the soccer going to be at? How am I going to be able to see this? And I made that happen, or I tried to make that happen as much as I possibly could. So with Italy, and you said opening up a lot of different perspectives, and that there's a bit more to it than just going to soccer games. If only it were that simple. Talk about what you were, well, first of all, where you were at in Italy, and then what you were doing, what the program was like.
Okay, yeah. So in Italy, the program was Chimba. Not sure if you've heard of it, but it's a 4-week program in Paderno del Grappa, which is like, it's kind of a small town. I'd like to say it's like the suburbs of Italy. It's like an hour north of Venice. It's close to Switzerland, and it's kind of secluded away from a lot, which actually I didn't end up liking near the end after the whole Barcelona trip. But it was still awesome. Like, we still had plenty of things to do, plenty of food to eat, and the classes were cool. Like, I did a social media marketing class. I'm journalism, so that was cool, and that kind of opened my eyes to marketing in general. Actually, now I'm kind of realizing now that I want to go into marketing. So I guess that was almost like a stepping stone in a way. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was different. I got the chance to travel a lot. The first week, I think the first week was Venice. Second week was Florence, and then the third week, it was a crazy experience. Some friends were doing, 4 countries in 3 days? So it was a lot of traveling and a lot of sleeping in airports and stuff like that. But we went to Zurich, Switzerland. We went to Marrakesh, Morocco. We also went to, I'm forgetting them now. But which tells you the story kind of perfectly.
You did 4 countries in 3 days, and instead of doing the 4 countries, if you're starting in Switzerland that are right next to each other, you go from Switzerland to Morocco?
Yeah. It was we went to Spain. We went to Spain, and it was really cool. That was kind of like the beach day in Spain. But it was, to be fair, like the whole trip was surrounded around Morocco. Like we had a few hours in Zurich. We did what we could. And same with Spain. I mean, we were just chilling on the beach all day. But no, like Morocco was the main part of the trip. We had a day and a half there. We rode camels.
All right.
Yeah, smoked a camel on a camel.
Right.
For the experience, of course. No, that was really cool. We were in the desert. That was definitely an eye-opening experience because, they have no like driving laws there. Like it's almost zero laws. So we're kind of just trusting our driver. Madness is going on outside the windows. Like it was just eye-opening. Like I had no idea Morocco was like that.
So that makes a little bit more sense that you were focusing this quest of yours on going to Morocco because, again, you said 3 countries in 4 days, and considering where you were and that you started in Switzerland, I was like, huh? Because the 3 countries in 4 days that you can hit is you can go to Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Austria, and Germany. I thought that's where you were going with it, but a trip down to Spain and then to Morocco with like Morocco being the end goal. I might have to try that. That sounds really fun. I would love to be able to go to Morocco and have camel on a camel.
It was awesome. I do have to say, I wouldn't. It's not for the weak. It was sleeping in airports. Like I was going through hell a little bit. Like mentally, like I was getting 3 hours of sleep some nights, and like by the end we were all so done. Like I think there was like 7 or 8 of us, and we were so done. Like I would never do that exact trip again. But I would do something similar.
You reach the point where you want to kill who you're with. Just you don't know why the frustration is there, but you have the frustration for everybody.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some like beef going around. Yeah, no, some kids were fed up with some other people, but I stayed happy. I mean, I'm traveling. Like you can't really get mad at that.
You had camel beef going around, one might say. What was eating camel like, just out of curiosity?
Oh, sorry, I was smoking a camel.
Oh, okay.
My bad. Like the cigarette. For the experience, of course.
I thought you said smoked camel as in you were eating camel meat, which is like not uncommon.
No, that makes actually way more sense than what I was saying. Like,
well, that's equally as cool, smoking a camel on top of a camel. And you know what? If you go again, you can smoke a camel on a camel while eating smoked camel.
Yeah, there you go. Get another one on there.
I was really excited because I was going to be like, oh, I get to talk about the fact that I ate llama meat one time too. Same family of animal there, but I guess that's for next time. And there's no llama-related cigarettes in South America that I'm aware of. Otherwise, I would have smoked them by now.
Where did you eat the llama?
I was in the deserts of northern Chile, and they had on the menu llama steak, and I was like, well, okay. I'm probably never going to be here again, and how else am I going to get llama in Iowa? And so it was good. It was very brown, not like a cooked way, but like, I don't have anything brown on me or around, but just like when you think of the color brown, it was like that color, and it had the texture of lamb. It was really good, but I'd never seen meat that was like brown before when it was cooked.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
I would have it again, 100%. So, all right, let's rewind again. You got so many fun tangents already, and I know that there's going to be more to come. So, with Italy, it was pretty like hard and fast. You doing your class kind of in out. You got the traveling with that. But do you think it was a good primer for kind of what was to come living an entire semester being in Europe, because that's how, when I did my study abroad, I wanted to be in Spain for a summer to have that basically be like a primer. I was also going specifically for Spanish just to get my Spanish up. But to have that experience of living abroad, figuring out how I am abroad before I go off into that semester. Did that happen with you? Were you viewing it kind of like that?
Yeah, 100%. Chimba, the program, the way it's structured is you don't have class on Fridays, which was nice because they're trying to help you out traveling. But Monday through Thursday was rigorous. Like I had class all day. We had I think it was like a 30-minute lunch break. It was because, the program was 4 weeks. So they have to kind of combine a whole semester's worth within that month.
Like you got to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was a lot of that. It was a lot of learning Italian, just, digesting so much at once and doing, my social media marketing class, we had presentations almost daily. So it was a lot of okay, we're practicing in class, we're doing the research, we're doing whatever we have to do. And then we do it the next day. And luckily for some of the presentations, the traveling helped out. So for an example, one of the presentations had to do with someone you met. We met this really nice elderly couple on one of our trips, and they took us to their farm. It was in their house. Yeah, it was really cool. It was in the mountains of Oslo, Italy. And then we helped them create an Airbnb. They had no clue really what social media was. They had no they're kind of tucked away. They're not.
It's a nice Italian family from the mountains,
Exactly. And one of them was born in the U.S. and moved out there literally through the Chimba program.
Oh, wow.
She got introduced to it and then met her husband, and the whole future happened. But it was really cool that we got to meet them because I got some actual experience with marketing and setting up an Airbnb for this couple while also doing my homework.
While also doing your homework. Hopefully you get free stays for life in that Airbnb if you want to go back.
Yeah.
What was it like, even though you said it was very rigorous what you were doing on a day-to-day basis, living in somewhere in Italy that wasn't touristy at all? And northern Italy is, of course, very different from southern Italy. But what was that like to be kind of in an Italian experience in areas compared to if you were in Rome specifically, or Florence or Venice or Milan?
Yeah. Actually, I could speak well to that because I went to those places on my second study abroad. But no, it was definitely calming in a way. It made it feel more like home versus in Barcelona, I was in the middle of the city. So it's I'm walking home from the train, I see tons of people on my walk back to my house. And even at that, sometimes I don't even see my roommates. So in Italy, I see the same people every day. It kind of felt like a village, like a tight neighborhood, and it was really cool. And it felt like home. I've said it before, but it was cool seeing the different. There wasn't much food. It was all the same stuff. So there was a pizza place and a pasta place. That was kind of it.
Shocker.
Very big shocker. No, but I definitely got introduced to different types of tomatoes and wines and spaghettis and pasta, the typical food stuff, but it was deeper than that. It was not just the typical. And I think
you're not taking a cooking class in Rome. You're actually out and being able to really see that, and it's not as structured for tourists and tourism is what I'm gathering from what you're saying.
Yeah. And that also kind of set me up for Barcelona because it was just different. And I'm from Chicago, so I was born in the city, and I think Barcelona is definitely more of that city, but it is nice getting used to the suburb first to kind of prepare me for that.
That's a good way to just close out on Italy really, really quickly, of being you figured out what it was like in the more quiet side of Italy and the quiet side of life. You were doing a lot of good work, but you were being able to experience a lot of things. But I want to get us to Barcelona because that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I have been to Barcelona. It was once. It was for 2.5 days. I loved it. I loved being there. It was awesome. I've been to a lot of places around the world, but I always am coming back to in my mind how good it was to be in Barcelona. I was there, in the middle of June, which is definitely peak tourism time, peak heat as well. It was hot while we were there. I loved it, but I want to know from you what it was like to live there, because I would be scared that if I went there and I lived there, I would end up just hating it, or getting, the magic would diminish from it? Because I had 2 days and I still think about those 2 days.
Yeah. No, the magic never diminished for me. It started off with getting used to it. Like I was going through, like the typical getting used to a new place you're living. But I do have to say over time, it got easier because like also the season changed. Like once it started getting warmer, I was going to the beach and that was awesome. But no, it was really good. It was really fun. And I do have to say it was like dangerous at times because it's a big clubbing city. So a lot of my friends really wanted to go like almost every night. And I also had an internship there. So I had a bunch of scheduling issues with just class and internship. So it was a lot, but it was the greatest time of my life. Like I would go back to Barcelona in a second. Like everything that it offers was just right up my alley. It felt like I tried all this new food. Yeah, no, it was amazing. The magic never diminished.
So you talk about food, and usually I like to get into food as its own separate segment, but just in the context of being in Barcelona and all of the funny kind of food stuff that you can find there. You ever go to a place called Tacos Juan?
No, I don't think I did.
So when my friend and I we were there was this joint next to our hostel called Tacos Juan. And like all places, we were fronted in English just right away.
Yep.
And all of their menus were in Spanish, and they were really concerned about being able to translate the menu for us. Like, guys, it's okay. We speak Spanish, but they were really excited that we were getting the Tacos Juan experience. Like they had that on the thing, was the Tacos Juan experience. And so the Tacos Juan experience was tacos that had steak, cactus, and rice. And then they had like a sauce, and that was it. And I was like, oh.
So I got to ask, what does cactus taste like?
It was, they like grilled it. So it's kind of like eating grilled peppers.
Okay.
But the texture is kind of weird. And I don't even remember the taste. There wasn't really anything about it. It was more in the meat.
Okay.
But it was weird eating a cactus, because if you wouldn't have told me that it was a cactus, I would have just thought, these peppers feel weird. But it's on the menu, and like they tell you that there's cactus in it. And so I was suddenly very aware of the fact that I was eating cooked cactus, which I know people eat cactus. Like that's a thing in different cuisines and I think parts of Mexico specifically will have like cactus within tacos. But I was like, okay. Is there more to it? It's just rice and cactus and steak, and there was not. And the sauce that they had really wasn't that great either. It never tasted like anything before. And I didn't know if it was supposed to be like a Barcelonian taco style, if it was supposed to be like a Mexican taco style. I don't know who they were trying to emulate, but the Tacos Juan experience was just me and my friend at 7:00 on a Friday night eating cactus tacos in corn tortillas, being like, yeah, we're probably gonna have to go somewhere else after this. It wasn't very good, but it was just very memorable because all of this stuff was just like experience Tacos Juan, and
yeah,
okay, it was experienced, that was for sure.
Yeah.
I can't say I have a hankering to eat steak and cactus tacos again. It's not like they were bad; it just left something to be desired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you mentioning that story kind of reminds me of this place called TKO Tacos in Barcelona. I don't know if you've heard of that, but they have dollar tacos, I think on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We had to have gone there at least like once a week. We'd like the first time we went, we were like, oh my God, they're $1? Like, let's get 12. And so we would just like down like 12 tacos. And then I'm like, wait, this is every week. Like, I should probably just calm down. Like, I was getting too like food happy, if that makes sense. So.
Well, I don't know if in a place like Barcelona you can get too food happy, but you saying that, I think I've told this before, or told this story before on the show, but when we were in Spain, we were in Valladolid, so we were in Northwest, we were basically other side of the country. They had a Taco Bell, and the Taco Bell was right in their Plaza Mayor, and I was like, that doesn't feel right, but okay. It was a rockin' Taco Bell, too. It was 3 stories.
Oh, yeah.
And they had $1 Taco Tuesday and beer nights. And so we would go out there on Tuesdays because, I mean, you know what it's like living in Spain. Dinner's not till 10:30.
Exactly.
But I'm hungry at 7:30, so we go and get dollar tacos, and it was great. We had that a couple of times. But you talking about soccer too, so it was the night of the Champions League final. It was Madrid versus Dortmund, or Real Madrid, I should say, versus Dortmund, where like the whole town is seated ready to watch this, and we're at this place where they closed their kitchen right before the game started. I'm like, guys, I get it. You want to watch the game, but you closed your kitchen. You're a restaurant. Why? So we were all hungry, but none of us, we didn't want to lose the game or anything like that, because we were all kind of just as a program sitting there watching this, and it was a really nice night. And so at halftime, what we did was, all right, we're going to run out and we're going to go to the Taco Bell, because individual tacos are like €1.50. We bought 36 tacos I think it was 36 tacos. We bought 36 tacos for 24 euros. My friend still has the receipt of it. He has it like framed. And there's a picture of him holding it. But we ran all the way across Italy to go get these tacos, ran all the way back to the restaurant, and then we're eating them. And the wait staff is like, what are you doing? You can't eat on the premises. And so he was like, you can eat them, just not on the premises. So we literally moved 2 blocks of concrete over outside of their little overhang with their outdoor cafe, watching the game, eating Taco Bell on the street, looking like animals, because we hadn't eaten in hours at that point, and enjoying the wonderful night. Real Madrid ended up winning 2-0. But that was a fun, cheap taco experience, but it's not as fun when you realize it's Taco Bell and not like a TK Tacos kind of thing. You know, I was having Doritos Locos Tacos the same as if when I'm done here, I can just go and grab another one.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, love the food. Have you tried paella?
I have tried paella, yes.
What is your favorite kind of paella?
My favorite kind of paella is, and it's only because it's an aesthetic choice, not because it actually adds any flavor. I really love paella with squid ink in it.
Yes.
And I really love the more seafood style, because traditional style, I don't know if they ever told you this, but traditional style has snails in it, and it usually has rabbit. And usually that's only in like Valencia, where they put the snails in it, but like that's what the authentic is supposed to have. And like, I don't mind snails, but in paella, like it's kind of messy to eat snails, you know? So
yeah, I don't actually, now that you mention it, I don't think I've had that, because I never had snails, but I was definitely a seafood guy. Like I loved the squid ink, and there were some clams in some of them, and you know, I had a bunch of different kinds, so it was really good.
What was like the biggest paella you got? Because I was always getting like the single or the double served ones, just because I didn't have like a big enough crew to be able to eat those big pans with me. But did you ever get one of those like 10-person pans?
Yep.
Walk us through that. What was the 10-person pan like?
It was first, it was intimidating. I mean, when it comes out, we're like, oh God, like we got to finish this. Like, I mean, another thing is like, I feel like, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but there was some sort of underlining, like, you got to finish this kind of thing. Like,
you got to finish it.
Yeah, like they don't want you to waste any food, and obviously, like, that makes sense. So it was first intimidating, but then, you know, a few plates in, once everyone took like their first serving, like we realized, okay, this is actually really doable. We might have had like 6 to 8 people, a few of us being big eaters, so we actually didn't have a problem, and we ordered a bunch of other things. But yeah, no, it was awesome.
I would like to go back to Spain and to be able to have the big 8 to 10-person paella experience. And then when I went to Valencia with my family, I was like, all right, if we're going to get paella, we're going to get it here. You know, this is what you're supposed to do. But it was a Sunday, and all the paella places were all closed, more or less. So we didn't get to do that, but I would have loved to have been able to have shared a big paella with my family. So we got the paella down, we got the tacos down, you know, noted Spanish food tacos. I'm rolling my eyes for everyone who's listening. What were some of the other like crazy good foods that you ate? Because Barcelona has so much to offer when it comes to food.
Yeah, I would say Spanish omelets. Honestly, going into it, when I first ordered a Spanish omelet, I was like, oh, just like some eggs. Like, let's go. No, it's not that at all. I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of like a potato-y dish. It looks like an omelet, though. It looks like eggs. And it was actually, the first time I had it was in Madrid. It wasn't even in Barcelona. And it was really good. Had some butter on it. And yeah, I'd say that was something that kind of threw me for a loop at first, but it ended up being really good. Didn't really order it that much, but I had it once or twice, and that was enough for me. So
I always compare the Spanish omelet to what's the name for like the Jewish like potato pancakes?
Oh, latkes?
Yeah, I always compare it more to that than an omelet. I know it's not exactly there, but to me, it's more closer to that than an actual omelet.
Yeah.
With all the potatoes in it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Also, actually, you've been rewinding it back. I'm trying to rewind it back this time. So what soccer games did you see and where?
So I was going to ask you this question because you got a whole thing. I will admit to you, I'm so mad at myself for this because my friend and I, we were in our hostel and it was like 2 blocks from Camp Nou. And of course it was and still is as of now under construction. So Barcelona was playing, I think in Olympic Stadium is where they play, but it was like right there. And I kept being like, we need to go see it. We need to go see it. We never need to go see it. But then as we just went through and we were doing stuff and we were looking through everything and we took a day to go to Andorra, which I don't know if you went to Andorra while you were there.
I didn't go, but I had some friends that did.
You missed out. Andorra
Really?
rocks. Anyway, that's for later. But that was one of the things where I was like, oh, why did I not do that? Because then when I was in Madrid with my family, like we went to go see the Bernabeu. Obviously, we were there in the summer, so no games were happening or anything. Yep. But we saw the Bernabeu, and then when we were in Valladolid, there was one game that happened while we were there. It was like the last game of the season. And so we got to go see it, and it was really great because they scored a winning penalty in stoppage time to get promoted to La Liga. And then, of course, they went down the next year. They immediately got relegated. Yep. It wasn't even close, which was really sad. But it was really fun because we got to be a part of like the promotion parade, and like the whole town was a part of it. It was such an awesome game to watch too. So that was the only one I caught while I was in Spain. But what ones were you able to catch while you were there? Okay,
so when I was in Barcelona, I went to the highlight of all of them was Benfica Barcelona Champions League. I also went during like the Lamine Yamal like come up, like when he started getting big, he dyed his hair blonde. So I got to really see that. He scored. I'm a big Lamine Yamal fan now. Like after studying there, like I just love him. Saw one of his greatest goals of his career, in my opinion. And that was really cool. That was when my parents came down to visit. And they helped with the financials so we could get to the game. Because that was a big game, and went with some friends as well, and that was amazing. That was definitely the highlight of all the soccer games. I also went a few days after arriving with my friends. I don't even remember who they played. It was like 4-0. Like they just destroyed the other team.
We're just gonna say it was like Getafe or something.
Yeah,
and then...
let's say Getafe. So those were the 2 main ones, and then I went to one game where I met up with my friend there. And it was really unfortunate because I was there alone at first. And like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. But I wanted to experience it with someone. And he was having trouble with his tickets and all these issues. And I'm just like watching the game. Like I'm in the stadium. I'm like, I really want to watch this game and I really want you to be here. But like, I might have to help him out. Like I might have to go out and like send him, I don't know, like my tickets, see if he can get in somehow else, like another way. But no, he ended up getting in after halftime. It was probably like the 60th minute. So it was kind of like watching a game alone, but it was awesome. It was really cool. And and that was just in Barcelona. I went to a bunch of other games, other places.
Did you get to any in Madrid?
No, unfortunately I did not. But I did watch, there was like three or four El Clasico games that season. And there was like Barcelona watch parties. So we went to those. And then they won. It was the Spanish tournament. I forget what it's called.
The Copa del Rey?
Yeah, I think it was that one. Because there's like 2 of them. There's one like, whatever. But yeah, they won that, and we had like this big celebration. We were parading through the streets for Barcelona. And yeah, that was peak. That was awesome.
Did you get to go to any Espanyol games at all? Because if I was there for longer, I would have wanted to see like what the Espanyol environment is like. And for those not aware of the Barcelona soccer games, so you got the LA Lakers in Barcelona. Everybody knows Barcelona. And then like the Clippers' little brother equivalent is called Espanyol.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did not get to see them. I kind of regret that a lot because I haven't seen that many. Like, I wouldn't say like lower tier games, but I mean it's not as big of a stadium. So I had some friends that went there for budget. They went to Espanyol games, and I regret that heavy that I didn't.
Did you ever run into anyone who was an Espanyol fan?
Surprisingly, no. Now that you bring it up, I no.
Because like they're already almost impossible to find, but you had the time there in a whole semester to have maybe run into someone who was an Espanyol fan. But
And it's actually interesting that you compared them to the Lakers and Clippers, because now that you think about it, I was in LA once. I don't remember seeing a Clippers fan.
yeah,
So
I was in Paris for an entire summer, and Paris, being super unique in the fact that everybody is a single club it supports one single club in PSG. But I was trying to find a Paris FC fan because Paris FC had just been promoted to Ligue 1, and so we're going to have a Paris derby for the first time in 20 plus years, I think. Nobody was a Paris FC fan. Nobody, nothing. And I mean, the stadiums are literally as far apart as this room is wide.
yeah, I've seen the picture. I've actually been to a PSG game. It's insane. Like, I don't even understand how do they get fans? Like, how do they get attendance at their games?
I don't. I was told by one guy who he was French, but he lives and goes to school in Miami, that he has like an uncle who's a Paris FC fan and had been a Paris FC fan since the breaking off into PSG and Paris FC. Homeboy chose the wrong side of history, but like we have to live and die with the clubs that we choose.
100%.
And so this uncle never materialized, but I really wanted it to be like, man, if I could just find one.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Actually, let me bring it back. If you were to restart your study abroad experiences, was there anything that you would do completely different, like a big change?
Wow, you were really putting me on the spot here in my own show, but you know what? I appreciate it. You're the first one who's had the strength and courage to do it. I would say that the biggest thing that I would have done differently is, well, there's two things. One is when I was in Chile, I would have stayed in a host family. Not that I didn't enjoy my residency, like I was in student housing for a semester, but I think a host family would have been so much more richer over time and a better connection and understanding, even more than I already got, would have been developed. So I think I would have done that. And then the other thing was just being confident in playing what I've got. And so I'm sure you encountered this with some of the people in your cohorts of like, you get people who are studying abroad who bring all sorts of things to the table. It's their first time out of the country, or this is their fifth time studying abroad. They've been 80 countries. They speak all these languages, or like they're really well traveled. And sometimes it's hard to figure out how to interact within those spheres and to say, hey, where does my value, or like what strength do I bring to this cohort, to this team, to this experience do I have with it? And there were times, it was mostly when I was in Chile, because we were just such a diverse group of people and we didn't really have the best time meshing, where I just was like, what strengths am I bringing? How am I going to bring these things to the table? And I should have just, instead of comparing myself to others, I should have just been playing with what I had, in that I was a really good Spanish speaker. I was there specifically to learn. If other people aren't going out and doing or like wanting to do the same things that I'm doing, that's not a reflection of me. That's a reflection of them. And you should feel rewarded in that you're having the opportunity to be able to do things that you want to do. And I did a lot of things, but at the time I would say like, not loneliness, but it was kind of like a lonely feeling of no one else, or very few people were appreciating what I was doing with that, when I realized I'm continuing to build on to the things that make me me, and the things that I bring to all of my interactions. And so if nobody wants to go to this soccer game with me, if nobody wants to go see this museum thing to me, that's okay. and to realize that that's okay, that that's not on me, that instead I'm just continuing to do my thing and I shouldn't have to get that social validation from that.
Yeah, I totally I feel you. Like, I had a similar loneliness kind of feeling when I was in Barcelona, and I wouldn't even say it was loneliness. I mean, it was, but it was more of just like, wow, I'm really just like this far from my family and what I'm used to for now. And
you drifted. Didn't you?
That's a good way of putting it. So yeah, I understand that, and I could see why someone would feel that way.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. Can you expound just a little bit more on that drifting, somewhat loneliness feeling that's kind of hard to put a name to?
Yeah, it actually happened with a specific scenario. I was at the grocery store, which is like less than a block from my house, and I remember looking for shampoo. And I don't know really a lick of Spanish. I was taking a Spanish class while I was there, but I don't really know anything. So I went to the grocery store. It's, like I said, half a block. And I was on my phone, like Google translating everything, like taking like pictures of it, thinking what I thought was like shampoo and stuff. And then what I thought was shampoo, I come back home, and I'm in the shower and I'm putting it on. I'm like, wait, this is not shampoo. And it might have just been like soap, like hand soap or something. And it just like translated wrong, which whatever. And then I go back to the grocery store, get something else, or try to get like shampoo, and I failed again. It took me 3 tries to get shampoo, which is like, thinking back, I'm like, that's insane that it took me that long. But that scenario kind of made me realize, I'm like, damn, like if I was just home, like it would take 1 try, and that's all I have to do. But this is what it comes with. This is the experience. This is like getting to know an unfamiliar place, and it ended up being good, but for a moment there, for a little bit, I was, kind of just like, I kind of wish I was home, but quickly flipped that around and had a blast.
The thing that I always like to tell people when I'm talking about just the study abroad experience outside of the podcast is that people always ask, do you ever feel homesick, or like, how do you get over the homesickness aspect of it? And maybe you had this when you were about to go to Barcelona. I have studied abroad 3 times, and each time the pre-going nerves, that pre-departure nerves of just the uncertainty of how things are going to be, to me is killer. I'm someone who likes to be in control. I want to have this control, and this not knowing what I'm about to get into, even though I know so much about what I'm about to get into, that always terrifies me in the beforehand. And I always get that anxiety. But I find that continuing to be open to things and allowing the excitement instead of the nerves to drive you, that will kill homesickness instantly, especially if you're in a place like Barcelona where there's something new to do every single day. And no matter how long you're there, you will have never explored every inch of the city.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the biggest thing for me actually was just having, air quotes, family, like in Barcelona. Like, I had a group of, it was 3 of us. We were like a little trio, and like I would do everything with them, and we would go everywhere together. And so I think that was kind of crucial, at least in my journey, to kind of avoiding that. To kind of like coming home, I mean, like in Barcelona from like weekend trips. But no, I think having something to look forward to when you're coming back is definitely a crucial part in what kind of helped me out with that, with the homesickness. Yeah,
just find ways to immerse and have fun with yourself. Keep your brain from being distracted, because like you said, you're going to be in situations where you're going to be very starkly reminded that you are not home anymore.
Yeah.
And you're really going to feel it. And that's good, because you should feel that. That's the point of doing these things, but making sure that it doesn't cripple you and making sure that you can keep moving on with it, because I know and have seen people where it's a lot harder, and we all work at different paces, we all work at different speeds, we all need different things to make us function. But I think at a baseline, if you're willing to really lay yourself down and understand that you are going to get embarrassed at least once.
Oh yeah.
Things are going to be out of your control a lot, but that you have it within yourself to continue moving on and you will make it out. Like, that is the mindset that everyone, regardless, should have. You shouldn't be expecting them to give you anything. You should be expecting to give your everything to that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely got humbled a few times, 100%. Actually, an example of being humbled in Barcelona. So I mentioned this, but I've been playing soccer my whole life. That's something that's really important to me. There was this pickup league that I joined in Barcelona. And at first, like, I was kind of confused because I was doing like pretty well. Like, I'm not trying to be like cocky or anything, but like, I was doing pretty well for my first game, and I'm like, I'd kind of expect there to be a little harder competition being in Europe. Like, soccer's just so more like it's you're brought up through soccer in Europe more so compared to America. But yeah, no, I had that, and then the second time I did it, I got completely humbled. I got double megged at like the same time. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to play goalie for a little bit. They scored like 3 goals on me. It was a bad experience, but that's what it's all about. Like you said, like, that's what it's all about. And then I came back again. I played like 5 more times and had a blast. But no, I definitely got humbled a few times.
I could stand and be embarrassed on the field in terms of technical ability all the live long day. But if you're going to be to the point where you think I need to play goalie, I will quit the team. I cannot play goalie for the life of me. I will play any position on the field, but I will not play goalie.
Yeah, but then don't play Celebrate in Barcelona because everyone has to. It's like each player like switches in. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No. I will do any other thing. Like, I will play center back, and anyone who has ever seen me, you look at me like I weigh nothing. And I'm not that fast either. I'm more of an endurance kind of runner. So I don't offer a lot to the center back position, but I would be willing to be bodied in that than have to get something shot 100 miles an hour right at my face.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
That is what it's all about. So let's just talk about your kind of day-to-day in Barcelona with your classes, but also your internship. So let's even start there. What were you doing with your internship, and what was that like?
Yeah, so I was a creative consultant for Production Paradise. What that meant was originally they just had me writing blogs for them. They're a photography directory company. So what I would do is they would send me contacts, and I would email these people in English, and then they would respond interview them. They would respond in a different language, and I had to kind of use Google Translate and kind of help like piece it together, make it sound, like legit, make it sound good. And that's what I was originally doing. I was doing SEO in these blogs. And then after that, I was kind of asking, I was like, hey, like, I'm only doing 1 blog a day. These take probably an hour and a half to write, and I have 4 hours here. I'm like, I'm down to do like more stuff. Like, I'm down to get more experience. So then they had me doing more data analytics, and I'm a journalism major, so.
Well, welcome to the marketing side, buddy.
Yeah, welcome. It was definitely a welcome moment. But it was all like website traffic and Google Analytics, so it wasn't terribly hard to understand. I mean, it's stuff that we've grown up with electronics and social media our whole life, so I think most people in our generation could figure that kind of stuff out. But it was really cool. There was a lot of great interviews that I had, good connections that I made, expanded my network. But I do have to say the biggest difference in the internship there versus, I guess, internships in America or just the work life is eating. I originally just wanted to do my own thing, find a new restaurant near the office, and that quickly changed because my coworkers were like, "Hey, why aren't you eating with us?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I was just getting some food. Like, I expected to just get lunch by myself." And I guess there are whatever, but yeah, they quickly was like, "No, you kind of like have to get lunch with us," and they're like making it mandatory for me. Just also messing with me. Like, they would always ask me like, things that make me uncomfortable, asking about the States, all that kind of thing. And I was definitely like the freshman. Like, I was the one getting made fun of, and all that. But it was a great experience. Like, they were lovely. They were the best. All they wanted to do was look out for me. But no, it was a really good internship. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that with the going to eat with your bosses and things, because my two bosses, they will go to work, or they will go to lunch without me. Not because I'm not uninvited, but like they go and they know that I usually bring my own lunch because I just don't want to have to pay every single day. I'm in college, I'm broke. But like I bring my own lunch and I kind of like sit the desk and do that. And very rarely do I go and join them. Today was one of the rare days that I was able to go and join them. And that was nice and funny, but I get what you're saying with that, where I'm so used to that disconnect of, and I'm with my bosses all the time, so I say disconnect very loosely.
Yeah.
But like that disconnect of they go do their own thing for lunch and I'm expected to continue to do my thing here versus, hey, we're going to the same joint, like you got to be here. This is the real team building.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. There was one time where as like a office, we went to like this Japanese place. And it was a very limited menu. And I felt like everything I ordered was very like, like they cared, like they wanted me to order the right things. And so it was like a 3-course meal. But each meal only had like 2 or 3 options. So, every time I'd order something, they'd be like, "Are you sure about that? Like, are you sure you want to go to this?" I'm like, do you want to order for me? Like, go and order for me if you want. Like, I'm a very open eater, so I'll eat anything. But they ended up actually ordering for me.
So you had more pressure at the work lunch than you did actually doing work in a dedicated internship.
Yep. Actually, I kind of did.
What was your favorite like piece of content that you were able to produce or person you were able to interview within your process of the internship?
That's a really good question. I would say this guy, Federico Gabbiero. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he's an Italian creative designer who works for GQ. The craziest thing to me during this was I was interviewing people who worked at like really cool places. I'm like, why are you letting me do this? I'm like, I'm an intern. Like I was interviewing a creative producer at Netflix. Like, I mean, it was a different language, so it was a barrier. It was a bunch of different things, but no, I'd say this guy, Federico, he was just a very interesting guy, and all the questions that I prepared for him were leaned more towards photography and what advice you can give to the younger generation. And he was just like, touch earth. He was like, be in touch with nature and all that kind of thing. Like, find joy in the little things. And I thought that was pretty inspirational. And it was really cool. And I really saw what he was talking about in his photos. So there was like a direct correlation with that. Yeah.
That's awesome that you were able to get the opportunity to interview someone so high up within a particular industry. As I'm sure Grace Lathrop, of course, at SJMC, got to interview the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen for the Vatican News during her internship. But it's a good like leveraging experience of, hey, we can take that back and say, us at the University of Iowa, we've been able to interview such high-end people and that they put their trust in you to do that too. And
yeah, I was surprised.
But I'm sure you were producing, though, that good work because the people that I've talked to before with their international internships of like, we are so used to our work culture and that pressure to perform and to produce that the stepping back and that being hit. I hear more about culture shock from workplace stuff of people going to internships than I do people actually doing study abroads, funnily enough.
I agree. I had more humbling experiences and more different stuff like in my internship than school. Like in school, I mean, to be fair, you're also surrounded by all Americans most of the time. Like my classes in Barcelona were all Indiana kids. Like they're all University of Indiana, and IES, which was the program I did, was flooded with Indiana. So it was also kind of interesting how everyone knew each other, and I was the outsider. So like I guess there was not much change there, but that was really interesting in the sense of like I couldn't relate with them on the same things. But
so what are you going to take from your internship experience, or what have you taken, since I guess it's been some time since you've come back from that, and how are you going to use that as you continue on and as you're about to go into your professional career as well?
Yeah, great question. It actually introduced me to SEO, search engine optimization. It introduced me to it. I didn't realize how much goes into like website traffic and what brings people in, like all these keywords and stuff. And so I kind of realized that near the end of my internship that I'm like, okay, this could actually be a real path for me to go down. And so like I took a look at a bunch of the analytics, kind of align that with the company's objectives, and that helped me out a lot. Like now I'm looking at SEO roles in the real world. I'm applying to jobs. So yeah, no, that was a really eye-opening experience in a way.
That's good that it really has kind of a tangible benefit too with that, because a lot of people, again, that I've interviewed, there's a lot of spiritual and mental growth that comes from it, which is good. But sometimes the tangible is a little bit more difficult to identify. But in this one, you're just like, yep, business as usual, just had to go to Barcelona to learn about SEO stuff, but you can readily apply that, not, of course, diminishing any spiritual or mental growth and maturity that you obtained through this, because I'm sure you did. Yeah. So give us just kind of one final story or fun thing that you want to share, either from your internship experience or being in Barcelona, that could maybe just encapsulate some of your time there.
Yeah. Actually, one weekend we traveled to Italy. I don't remember the exact city. It was a smaller city. We were kind of just traveling around. We went to a bunch of different places. But then we went to this one. It was Oslo. It was actually where the couple lived. And then we were like, we could either take the bus or the train to like the main city, or like the closest city. I don't even know what it was. But we decided to walk. We were like, you know what, let's get some steps in. Let's work out a bit. It was hot. We are like, we'll definitely like, burn some fat, And our phones go out of service, of course, on the way. And I was completely lost in the middle of Italy. It was it was one of the crazier experiences I've had. But like some of my friends with me, sorry if you're listening, they were being a little pessimistic and really annoying.
We're all gonna die.
Low key though, that's kind of the mentality they were bringing. No, but I had to use my Italian that I learned in my class. Go up to these random people, like ask them like, hey, how do I get here from here? And I got all these different answers. And what felt like I was the only one trying to get us out of the situation. So I ended up taking lead on it, and we ended up just getting on this bus. We kind of didn't fully know, or like, I guess we weren't sure where the bus was going. We had an idea. And then luckily, right when we got on the bus, I was like, hello, do you speak English? He did. I was like, thank God. I'm like, you're the first person we found. And I was like, can you please just take us right here, like right now? Like, is there any way you could do that? And he was like, I was like, all right, $20. And so I paid him, and he took us right where we needed, and everything was all good. And then we got back to campus, or got back to Barcelona not too long after that, and everything worked out, and it was the most satisfying deep breath I've taken in my life. Yeah.
You can just breathe after that. That reminds me of a somewhat similar experience that I had, but I'm not going to tell it on here on the show because I want to save it for another episode, because I know that I have someone in mind who I'm going to interview that's going to come up with it.
Hell yeah.
But this is why you got to tune in so you can get this story. I will tell you this story later, but I had somewhat of a similar experience. The thing that I want to highlight though is the full circling moment that you had with the Italian that you were taking in Chimba, and you're being like, whatever, maybe I'll use Italian for fun or something. But you actually got stranded in Italy on your way, or on your second time back around, and was like, oh shoot, we got to actually remember this and then actually use it. Because I'm sure you were sitting in those Italian classes in Chimba being like, whatever.
Yeah, no, I barely paid attention. I was just trying to pass the class. Yeah.
This is why you pay attention in your language classes, people, because you are going to get to a point where you are going to need help, and people will not be able to speak English, and your phone will probably be out of service.
That is true.
That will almost certainly happen on every place you go if you're not leaving your hotel room, or if you're not just staying in your hotel, your dorm, your host family, whatever thing. So, Eddie, I'm going to start closing us out here, but I want you to just first tell us, what is going on with Eddie right now? What is he a part of? What does he want us to know? And where are my manners? I didn't even thank you. Let me start with that.
Thank you.
Thank you for this really great conversation, but talk to us about what Eddie is doing right now.
Yeah. Along with Sean, we're doing Peer Mentor for study abroad. I'm applying to a lot of jobs. looking for what's next after graduation, whether that be in sports, marketing, journalism. Just trying to figure out the next step, I'd say, is the main way to put it. I'm also writing articles on Substack. If you want to tune in, please tune in. I write about sports, more specifically basketball and soccer, hip hop, and just the world of music right now. So yeah.
I will say you were probably the first person of our generation I've ever heard plug their Substack. But you know what? Good. Keep writing that. Good. Good for you. I have been seeing yours on your story. I'm like, I really need to read what Eddie has to say about specific things. I'm sure your one on Tottenham coming up soon is going to be an absolute joy to read, at least on my end.
I don't know if I could even get the courage to write that.
You know what? We can make it a joint article because I have plenty to say about the situation.
Yep.
But my last question is, you did 2 programs, so if you have 2 songs, that's okay. But what is the one song or what are the 2 songs that encapsulated your study abroad experience, and is there a story behind them?
I will keep it to one. The song Wasuka by Avion. I went clubbing a little bit in Barcelona, and for some reason that song just kept coming up. There was different DJs every night. It just kept coming. It kept being played, and then it got played once, I think in Prague, or another club in a different country. And it just kept coming back, and I loved it. Like, I had no clue what language it was in. I want to say it was like maybe an African language. It's what it sounded like, but still to this day I have no clue. And it just, whenever I hear it, I think about Barcelona, all the good times that I had, and it's just very calming to me. So yeah.
I love that. I need to go back to my Spain playlist, and because I have my Spain specific playlist, I need to go figure out what my song for Barcelona was. I think I have one or I know what it is. Devil Is a Lie by Tommy Richmond, because he dropped that single when I was there. But
I like Tommy Richmond.
I do like Tommy Richmond as well. You know what? We may have to get a Substack article with that too. But this has been super, super fun. It's been really great to talk with you, Eddie. Yeah. I appreciate you coming and sharing and giving unique perspectives. And I don't say unique perspectives lightly, like really just talking about like soccer, man. You're in it for soccer, and like you really learned great tangible things from your internship and your experience with shampoo, which, by the way, the word in Spanish for shampoo is shampoo. It's just spelled different. Yeah, it's just spelled differently.
There must have been something wrong with me that day or something.
It could have been that it was printed in Catalan.
I was actually it was probably Catalan.
And that's why I don't know if it's the same in Catalan, but at least in Spanish, it's shampoo. It's just spelled differently. So that would have been useful to know a year ago.
Speaking about humbling experiences, I just got humbled right now.
And that is never my intention to come on and belittle the guests. We're on equal playing field here, but Eddie, I'm so thankful that you were on. This has been a great talk, and for everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. We will see you wherever and whenever in the world next time.